Welcome everyone to our Chinatown Soup Tea Club. Now this is episode 6. Today we're gonna try again going to raw pour and the aging of raw pour in different ways. So we've been through our recipe cakes, the 7542 as the beginning of the journey. And then we go into a special editions of the 7542 Bouillon Mountain editions, and also we went through into an iron cake, which is from Shaguan. I hope you enjoy the learning and the teachings from the tea. And today we're gonna go into a more specific, we call it single origins productions, but traditionally done. Traditionally done meaning that the processing, the aging, and the selections of the tea are more traditional way. But this one is interesting because in around 2000, a lot of houses have started going into single origin trees. Almost like the micro and macro lots from coffee. They're going into a specific mountain area, selecting specific trees, just to amplify what is that region taste like. So this is a 2007 raw pour that was sourced in Baoshan, which is the western of Xishanbenan, very close to the border, but not to the south, but to the west. And this one is made by a very famous company in Hong Kong called Yee On Tea. If you're a tea enthusiast, you might heard about Yee On because they've been in business for over, I think, 50 plus or 80 years actually, because it's since the 1950s. So the way of their selections, the way of they making tea, processing it, and also aging it is more to a Hong Kong storage, but more on the wetter side. So you can see the leaf at this point is pretty much going into almost the second maturity stage. And you can see the color and the sheen of it is very clean. The first thing you want to see is how clean the tea leaves are. So, besides talking about the tea, we also more focus on the brewing method of it. So that's why this episode and most of the previous episodes is really concentrating on fundamental of pour or tea brewing skill. You can see what I'm doing is, of course, heating up everything in front of you, putting the tea leaf in it. What usually we do is we tap it so it actually felt everything to the bottoms in a sense. And at this stage you can do the smell. This will be a dry heated vessel with tea leaf inside. You can smell it much better because it's heated and there's kind of moisture in it, but it's not actually brewing. So you can see it from here, and then you go for your rinse. For tea like this, I would use a stronger rinsing. You can see how the water is swelling into that. And a lot of times what you want to see is how the tea react to the hot water. You can see the colors already changing. There's few bubbles on it. I'm using 8 grams in 150 ml gaiwan, which is usually what I use. People normally do tasting at around 7 grams or 6 grams, but I would always encourage you to put 1 or 2 more grams into it just to feel it more. It's always easier to go to the max and come back down than go into the bottom and slowly edge your way up, because it would take so much more time. It would take so much more patience. Sometimes you lose the patience and you say, oh, why am I doing wrong? But when you go into the max and you come down, then it's much easier to see where's the limit are. Pouring it out, immediately you want to smell it. The first thing you want to smell is if there's any smell that your body just kind of like reject. Oh my god, this smells like swarm, or this smells like, you know, a chicken coop or something like that, because those are very, very important sign of how this tea is clean or not. And your rinse, there's two sets of cups. One is for pu'er cups, one is more for general cups. You can see the color difference on it, but what you kind of see is the sheen of the surface of the tea. Okay, and don't forget, every time you put water in it, you're already brewing the tea. So you be mindful of, okay, what is going on in my cup, how hot it is, what's going on, like how much moisture, how much the absorptions of the moisture of the tea is doing. So it's the connections of you and the tea. There's no rush, there's no judgment to it. Of course, every cup is your own. Again, I always emphasize that. You want to see your first brew, you don't need to rush. There's no like, oh, immediate in or out, that kind of thing. Because if you make this cup too strong, you can always make the second cups lighter. If you make this too light, then you always can make the other cups strong. It really depends on your taste. So what I want you to see is all the bubble in the tea come out already. You can see how it started to unfurl. And all that little observations is a very important part of having a tea practice. Little things, just observe little things. So look into the color using your gaiwan, the lid of it. You can see the colors is pretty much, I think it's ready in a sense. We don't know if we just look at it, but by just looking at the color, which is a hue that have a brightness to it, you always want to see the color of the tea to have a liveliness to it. Okay, so usually when this is a raw pu'er, which is over 18 years of aging, this would consider it light in a color sense. All right, so what I'm gonna do is expecting it to be a lighter aromatic and body, but then I don't want to minus how it make you feel, because even though there's not a lot of color in it, if the energy is strong, you can still really feel it. So what I'm gonna do this time is just to pour 2 cups. All right, and then this will be my first one. You can see the color of that. All right, so let's try it. Clean tea. Most importantly is that almost like you're drinking spring water. There's a cleanness to it. There's nothing that is residual. There's nothing is like, you know, kind of got into your teeth. There's like oil residues. Because a lot of times if that happens, is either those teas, when they were growing it, they have, you know, being sprayed by pesticides or chemical fertilizations and all that kind of thing. Sometimes they add aromatic, sometimes they add taste to it, and none of these is showing in this one. Okay, what you want to do on your second brew, since my first brew color indicate that it could be pushed a little bit further, you're seeing how gentle my pouring into it, because my first cleaning, we call the rinse, are very, very forceful into it, just to awaken it. Now, you don't need to do that anymore in this sense. What you want to do is just really let the tea express itself and look into it. Another fun thing is, when you're serving tea, you always kind of like, oh my God, did everybody have enough? If there's 4 cups in here, how do we really make sure that everybody have the same share cups? That's why we have the gongdo, or this is called fair cup, meaning that if you pour this, all the tea inside into this fair cup, we know exactly how many serving you have, right? So this is our second brew. It's just a tad little bit stronger on color. So if I know that this cup for 150 on an 8 ml, on an 8 grams tea can fill up fully on 2 of my cups here, that means that you can divide this up into 4. So everybody got a little bit less than that, but this is too full in a way for the tea. You can see there's not really a big distinction of the first and the second, but I want to try it like that. So let's see the second brew on this. So when we are comfortable on the proportions of pouring people tea, then we don't need to worry about anymore, because then, oh, you know, this might be how much each person get, and you're just gonna go equally to that number. And when you see me pouring, a lot of times when I'm serving tea, I'm doing 3 times on the pour. 3 is a very magical numbers, of course, but also it kind of like slow you down when you pour a little bit in here, 1/3 of it, and then you go again 2/3 and 3 final. Then you kind of slow people down, and also you make your judgment of the equal share of the tea is very, very much more prominent on that sense. Okay, so how is this gonna taste like? Since it's a single origin, and single origin tea is really started in 2000, there's not a lot of single trunk before that, which because of the Puerh boom in 2000s, everybody's starting to really fascinated about single trunk and origins of the Puerh. There's not a lot of recipe going on. After that, they all want to really understand each area, each terroir or whatsoever. That's been a learning period for over 25 years now. And the trend now is to going back to the recipe, because a lot of times when we drink just a single area or single trunk, you're not really getting the benefit of the whole environments, the ecological environments of it. Some trees are very yin, some trees are very yang, meaning that some is very cooling, some is very warming. So if you drink too much of the cooling side of it, it's not good for your health if you're a cool person already. If you're drinking something that make you keep sweating, and you're already a very, very yang person, which is a very sun person, a hot person, then it's also not good for you. That's why the mix of different area balance out that kind of problem. That's the traditional way, as traditional, either the number recipe to the how period, which is 100 years ago. So again, I'm doing it very gently, because I know I can push it. It really depends on my intentions if I want to do that or not. But today, you know, after the eclipse and all that, and after everything happens in the world, you just want to be a little chilled out on it. So that's why I decide not to be pushy about it and just let it open up. There's a lot of rules. People say, oh, you have to cover it, you have to do immediately do this, pour this out, blah, blah, blah. But how about give the tea a chance of seeing it? You can actually play with it. You can see how soft the tea leaf became of our third brewing. It's already taken in all the water that's necessary to rejuvenate the leaf itself. You can see by moving your lid, your guide, to see the color changes. You can push it a little bit for the internal. It's almost like extracting it with an external force in a way into it. You can see also there's a rim that will start to develop. It's a sign of aged tree and aged tea, meaning that there's a kind of a golden color to it. People said it's the oil, it's the separations of the water and the oil, but then for me, it's just indications of the age of the tea that has been aged. So, give it a little moment, feel yourself into it. Almost sometimes when you go into onsen, when you know that it's getting too hot, and I'm gonna give it an extra 30 seconds before I run out to a cold plug, there's a similar to idea of that, okay? Strong, this is almost border tea. The more the border it is, the stronger it gets for some reason. Because it could be because it's much more south or much more area that is not being attended to. It's definitely wild oak tree. This is from Arbor old growth from the Baoshan area in the west. So you would expect something a little bit much stronger than that, than your regular. So you can see my third brew, color difference is very, very obvious at this point. So it's still not dark that you can't see into the bottom. You can all the way see it into the bottom. If you get into the, you can't even see the bottom, that means that you're really overbrewing it. But that's okay. You can add water to dilute it when you drink it. I hope you enjoy this tea. This is a very specific area and very specific aromatic profile to it. Let us know what you think about this kind of aromatic profiling on it. And how about the aging of this Hong Kong storage? Do you like it? What do you think about it? Give me some comments and let's have a conversation with it. Thank you again for supporting and thank you again for listening. I hope this will slow you down a little bit, and cheers and have a good tea sessions. Thank you.